Hello, my name is Brian Newsom with Thermo Fisher Scientific, and I am in the business development area for cell therapy. I'm going to run through a quick presentation covering the capabilities that we have within the space. And this presentation is not going to cover a lot of specific solutions, products, or services, but really talk about the areas that we work in and how we can help you with your clinical research and clinical development. I will go into a few specific products to give you an idea of some of the things we can do and go into some of the partnerships we've created as an example of what we can do with you all. During this presentation, I'll cover just a little bit about who we are as a company, in case some of you are not aware of Thermo Fisher Scientific, go into the challenges that the industry faces and how we can offer some solutions for those, delve a little bit into our quality and some of the innovation that we can provide, and then end up with some examples of partnerships and just kind of some stories of what we've been able to do so far in the cell therapy space. I imagine the majority of you are familiar with Thermo Fisher Scientific as a company, but may not be aware of more details of who we are. So I'm just going to give a couple slides presenting that. And the first thing is our mission. We are there to enable our customers to make the world a healthier, cleaner, and safer place. And this is primarily through the life sciences, but we really expand beyond that into other areas of science as well. When you look at the company as a whole, we're greater than a $17 billion company. We have a tremendous R&D spend and put a lot of resources into creating new solutions and innovation within this space. Over 50,000 employees globally. We operate in well over 50 countries. And many of the brands that we have are things that you're very familiar with. Thermo Scientific, Applied Biosystems, and Vitrogen, the former Life Technologies that was recently brought into the fold at Thermo Fisher. Fisher Scientific, and then Unity Lab Services. And I'll talk on all of these just a little bit during the presentation. So one is, like I said, we focus on is quality and making sure that what we're bringing to the table are the solutions you need. And so that we try to be very customer-centric, and everything we do is really related to how do we create a more innovative and productive environment for the customer. And whether this is enabling new technologies, maybe more efficient technologies, looking at creating solutions to supply chain issues or quality issues, anything that can increase productivity and efficiency in your lab are the things we really try to focus on. And we spend a lot of time talking to customers, trying to get at what the issues are that they have, and then learning how to create solutions to meet those needs. So just a little bit about how we view ourselves and how we think you can view us as partners within this space. So cell therapy is a passion of us for the group that are working here and helping customers try to create new products for healthcare and for this space. And these are the kind of areas that we feel are our strong suit and things that we bring to the table for the community. One is trying to bring you rapidly from early stage discovery and scientific innovation into the applied field of bringing this out to clinical trials and making sure that you're getting this into patients. We create a series of products along the workflow, all the way from research use only into things that can be used in clinical application, and make sure that we have the breadth of products required to get you where you need to go. Another area is confidence within what we're doing and the products that we're providing you. We have brands that I'm sure you've heard of, in Dynal and Gibco and others, and creating the quality systems that are necessary within the space to create the products that you need, as well as the innovation in making sure that we're providing products that really meet the needs that you have. Another one is affordable scalability, and again, I think both those words are very important. We try to make things affordable at both ends. We understand that the community right now, a lot of people are in very early stage trials, maybe 10 patients or 20 patients at a time. And you have to make it affordable for people to use your products at those levels. They're not using thousands of liters. They're using tens of liters of media, or they're using very small quantities of product. And we have to make sure that it's affordable in a high quality product. At the same time, as you scale and as you go up to wanting to address thousands of patients, we want to make sure we can scale with you and produce products at both the quality level and at the capacity that you need. We want to be a partner with you. We don't want to view ourselves as a vendor. We view ourselves really as a partner, as someone that you can trust, and we can bring our experience to bear for your product development, whether that's technical or R&D or quality and regulatory personnel. We want to make sure that you have access to those people and you have the availability to have conversations that will help move your therapeutic forward. And then lastly, it's really about portfolio breadth, what we have to offer. So we have products that will take you all the way from procurement of your initial sample all the way through to patient administration, and really want to make sure that we're providing products along that entire workflow that meet the needs you have, both for efficacy and for quality and regulatory needs as well. As a partner within this space, we really want to make sure that we're integrally involved in all parts of this. So we are involved in many of the same organizations that you all are, whether it's ISCT or ARM, some of the various funding agencies, and some of the other agencies that are working to help move the cell therapy industry forward. So we want to play a role in making sure that all of you are successful and working through all the mechanisms that are currently available. The bulk of the presentation is going to be spent on focusing on solutions that we can help provide for the challenges we see in the industry. So I'm going to run through the challenges as we see them, and then we'll pick those apart and figure out the areas of the company that we have that are involved in creating solutions to those. I'm not going to go into all of these in detail, but you can see on here a list of many of the challenges that I'm sure you're familiar with when addressing cell therapy manufacturing and product development. So from things like risk management and trying to lower risk across the workflow that you have, as well as across the clinical scenario, looking at quality and performance, both of the raw materials that we're providing and the products that you're providing to patients. Looking at scale-up issues and trying to make sure that you're scaling appropriately, scaling cost-effectively, and creating the same product at low scale and at large scale as well. Supply chains and logistics, making sure that the right materials are at the right place at the right time, that they're at the right quality level, the traceability is there. And then looking at things like custom solutions, making sure we have very optimized solutions for your needs that will make your product most effective. At Thermo Fisher, we really feel like we are uniquely positioned to address the needs that you have in cell therapy manufacturing scenario. This is really from very early stage, from the discovery and basic science that you're doing, and into the clinical trials, going through manufacturing, looking at the clinical trial management and the assistance you need there, the traceability and logistics that you need throughout the process, and then looking at the safety aspects, cell characterization and patient monitoring. We're going to pack this slide a little bit as we move forward. So take a look at each one of these areas and see the areas of the company that we have where we can help provide solutions. We'll begin by looking at some of the basic tools and technologies that are required in any cell culture or cell therapy lab. We have products across, you can see many of the brands at the bottom that you're familiar with, Gibco and Invitrogen, Applied Biosystems. These are areas of our company that make products for both manufacturing the cells as well as then monitoring the cells as they're remanufactured or for lot release. So we're talking about products such as media and reagents, enzymes and buffers that are made by Gibco and used in your labs to produce the cells. Then we're looking at things in the gene modification space, such as lentiviral vector production. For us, that is both expression systems as well as purification systems for some of those. We can help you with characterization and looking at genetic analysis, looking at protein analysis, looking at whole cell analysis, and any aspect of characterizing those cells both for identity and function. And then lastly is looking at areas of being able to run logistics of this. So preservation of cells, transportation of cells, keeping biorepositories and residuals. So we can really help with all of these areas, and this is at very early levels at the research and then going into early stage clinical trials first in man, and then we can continue that on through areas looking toward commercialization. In this space, this launched a brand a few years ago. This is a CTS or Cell Therapy Systems brand. This is a brand that really brings a lot to the table, not only good quality products, but making sure you have everything else you need for the regulatory environments. A lot of people don't have the bandwidth to have a large QA or QC department, and what we try to do is bring products out that have the proper documentation and traceability that you would need to break into an IND, make sure that these are made in facilities that have been audited and meet the right regulatory standards. And that we want to make sure that the products that you have are appropriate for the intended use that you have. So we launched these products. It's still a fairly small product line, but it is growing. Focused really on the manufacturing needs around media, growth factors, enzymes, buffers, things like that that you'd be using with various cell types. So for T cells or for various stem cell types, making sure you have all the quality products that you would need for manufacturing in a cell therapy specific scenario. As you move out of the early stage clinical trials and move into later stage trials, everyone needs to scale in some capacity, whether it's in an autologous setting where you're scaling out and making more doses at a unit level, or whether you're moving in an allogenic scenario and you're looking at creating hundreds or thousands of doses in a single batch. So we want to make sure that we have the appropriate tools to do those transitions, whether it's being in single-use technologies and looking at bioreactors, or looking at ways to augment the way we can supply raw materials in a single patient manufacturing scenario in a closed system, looking at custom services and custom products that we can have that fit the specific needs you have at the volume constraints and the regulatory and quality constraints that you have, looking at things like purification solutions, downstream events, whether it's purifying cells or purifying vector to go into those cells. Again, you can see at the bottom some of the brands that you're familiar with that create tools and technologies in the space. I want to make sure that we have the solutions that you need for each stage of the process. An area of the company that many of you may not be aware of is our clinical trial management area. This is run through Fisher Bioservices. It includes things such as a LIMS system, as well as both front-end and back-end clinical trial management. This goes from kitting to receive your inbound samples and sending out the necessary blood tubes and the requirements that would be involved in isolating the samples that you would use as your starting material. It includes all the back-end logistics of multilingual and specialized labeling and distribution for all stages of clinical trials, biological specimen management, and clinical supply chain management, as well as the cold chain logistics of transporting samples, whether that is the biological samples or any specific raw materials that you have. We have one of the world's largest biorepositories for biobanking, and we can really work with you on any phase of clinical trial management that you desire. In addition to the cold chain logistics and clinical trial management, we can help in other areas of the supply chain as well. We have the Doe & Ingalls GMP chemical warehouses that can provide logistics support and storage, off-site storage for room temperature or refrigerator frozen material. Those can be sampled and monitored. We have quality assurance programs in place to help with that. The idea is to make this an extension of your supply chain management without compromising on quality, with the idea is to mitigate risk, increase productivity, and reduce cost. So the last portion of this is really around analytics. So this is all the way from looking at cell identity and purity and function, and also into detection of contaminants. So we have areas such as the MicroSeq platform, which is a PCR-based platform for mycoplasma detection, a best-in-class technology. We can go through technologies such as mass spec, next-gen sequencing, flow cytometry, really any sort of genetic or protein-based or cell-based assay that you want to look at. And it's a critical element of all cell therapy manufacturing. We feel that we have a very robust set of tools in this space and can work with people on also on things like companion diagnostics, companion prognostics, and trying to partner with you and making sure that the analytical tools that you have are really robust enough to measure the things that you need to in the space. Going to switch gears here just a little bit, away from discussing specific portions of the company that are addressing needs that you have, into a general quality mindset that we have within the company and what that means to you as the end user. I'm sure you've noticed that I've mentioned quality several times throughout this presentation, and it's really because it's at the core of everything we do. And that starts with the product development plan that we have. We produce by quality by design, and looking at how do we create products that really meet the needs of the end user through using raw materials and processes that are really best in class. That goes on to the robust quality systems and quality management that we have in our production scenarios and the manufacturing facilities we have. The plan that we have for continual improvement in creating better products, creating better scenarios, constantly producing better processes in-house, and then on to things like supply chain traceability and raw material traceability, getting the best vendors that we can to provide the best quality raw materials for us. And then it goes into things like the auditable facilities. We have many facilities that are creating these products in different areas. We host over 200 audits per year in those facilities. We're continually putting investment into the space, over $40 million alone in 2015, into acquiring new facilities or scaling up those facilities for increased capacity or increased quality to make sure that the products that you need can be manufactured in the way that you need them to be made. So we're consistently going out and assessing our quality management system and trying to improve those to meet the needs that the industry and that the regulators are putting into the space. This is a showcase of many of the sites that are relevant in producing products that are relevant for cell therapy users. This is by far not a list of all the sites that we have, but showcases many of the sites that produce media, reagents, the dynabeads, serum, and other products that are typically used within a cell therapy manufacturing scenario. We do this to create redundancy in many cases across some of the product lines so that there's not going to be a shortage of supply or issues with being able to provide users in any geographic area with the appropriate products. And I think it shows the infrastructure that we've put into place to make sure that we have the capacity and the quality and the distribution channels necessary to make sure that you have what you need. I wanted to give you some specifics on a few things that we've done over the last several years to create products that are more relevant to users within the cell therapy environment. So many of you are involved in immunotherapy, and you realize that the human AB sera that is used in that space is often a major constraint, both for security of supply, the potential for contamination, the variability issues. And so we launched a product this year called CTS, Immune Cell Serum Replacement. This is a 1-for-1 replacement for human AB sera. And the functional testing we've done has shown that the cells produced, at least in a CAR T-cell environment, are functionally equivalent both in vivo and in vitro to cells produced in human AB sera. It's a xeno-free product, so it alleviates a lot of the concerns around human AB serum. Another product launched this year was lipofectamine 3000. For those of you in the gene modification space that are looking at lentiviral vector production, one of the issues there has been fairly low titers. Lipofectamine 3000 increases the titer production versus our previous product, lipofectamine 2000, between 3- and 4-fold to get much improved titers and therefore more virus, less production lots for the number of patients you want to address. And we're definitely continuing to work in this space to produce higher quality products and products that can be used within the space more specific to lentiviral production. Another product area, not a specific product, is AGT, or Advanced Granulation Technology. And this is actually a media platform. So if you think about Tang or something like that, this is a freeze-dried product that is similar to dry powdered media, but has many advantages over typical dry powdered media or even over liquid media. These are created as porous granules, so the liquid, when it's put in there, can dissolve these very quickly, and it's easy to get it ready for use within 10 to 30 minutes. They can be manufactured to have pre-pH adjustment, pre-osmo adjustment, so there's no adjustment once it's made into a liquid. Because it's a powder, it can be shipped much easier, easier storage conditions. You're not shipping and storing basically the water components of this. So if you have your own WFI system, this could be a good answer for some of the supply chain issues and storage issues you have. As well, this can be very cost effective. You can make much larger lots. Shelf life of these products tend to be longer than the liquid components. And so this can be a kind of a new format of media that can help with a lot of areas of supply chain management. Another area is looking at like the ion torrent oncomine focus assay. We realize that people in this space are sampling and wanting to get as much information out of product samples as they can. The cells that you're manufacturing are very precious, and you don't want to use them for one assay, but you want to get a lot of different answers out of those. So this is something that can monitor both RNA and DNA simultaneously, and you can get really a lot more information out of a single sample. And the last one on here is the Attune NXT Plus cytometer. This is our second generation cytometer. For any of you that had seen our first one, this is a similar device, but a lot of improvements. This has up to 4 lasers and up to 14 colors. Some of the hallmarks of this device is that it can run at very high speed because you acoustically focus the cells into a very narrow stream, and so the CV on these is very tight. So even looking at DNA ploidy analysis, you can run them at very low levels or very fast levels and get very similar results. It's very good for looking at very rare event detection and does a lot of the standard flow cytometry assays in a very easy-to-use platform that has software that can be used very user-friendly, good capabilities for analytics, and then it comes with options for doing 384-well plates and 96-well plates, and you can do tubes and run these all in a single experiment. So a very user-friendly platform, something that's a great tool for research in cell therapy field. The last few slides I have are just going to highlight a few specific scenarios where we work with companies to develop solutions to problems that they have and showcase some of the things we can do. And we'd love to partner with you in a similar way. So if you can bring us your problems, we can work with you similar to the cases I'll share here. The first case is work that we did with the Parkinson's Institute and Clinical Center, and this was to create a model of Parkinson's in a dish. So for many of you that have worked in this space, you realize that it's been a difficult disease area to work in. So the solution was to create a disease in a dish, and we started this by taking patient biopsy samples, reprogramming those iPS cells, then genetically modifying those through CRISPR or TALENs to repair some of the disease mechanisms in those cells, and then maturing those into neurons and creating scenarios that could be studied for monitoring disease progression. So there's been a large series of white papers that have come out of this, and I think this has really propelled the area of Parkinson's disease monitoring and therapeutic development a great deal in the last several years. The second case is a translational facility that was involved in cell therapy trials and doing their own GMP manufacturing. However, they had a lack of resources internally to really do a lot of the quality assurance and quality control mechanisms and make sure that they were manufacturing by the current regulatory guidelines and at the right quality level. So in this case, we were able to bring in a team of people from regulators and our quality group to do a deep dive into the process and to create an analysis of really what was needed for them to move into clinical trials. And we were able to provide them solutions that met those needs and that they could move easily and quickly into their manufacturing center with really very minimal support from their local establishment and from the QA and regulatory people they had on hand. The third case is a work we did with a pharmaceutical company that was had a fast-track cell therapy, and they were looking to move forward very quickly. At the same time, they had noticed that a particular raw material they had did not meet the regulatory and quality standards that they were going to require, and that they needed this to move forward very quickly in a kind of a staged approach to make sure that they had the product they need by the time they hit commercialization. So in response to that, we worked with them to conduct a gap analysis and look at the various things that needed to be done both in the raw materials and in the quality of production of this particular raw material. In the process of doing so, we saw several things that needed to change from some of our raw materials to the scale of manufacturing and into the overall quality in which this was produced. So the end result was we went as far as purchasing a new facility and retrofitting that facility to meet the needs that they would have at their commercial demand. We made implementation changes in many of the procedures in the production of that raw material, as well as in the raw materials that were used in that product. In the long run, we were able to do a lot of risk mitigation and making sure that they would meet the quality and regulatory guidance that they saw as they were moving forward. We were able to increase production size and reduce risk on that side, as well as reduce the cost of goods overall through some of the changes we were making. Thermo Fisher Scientific wants to be your partner in cell therapy, and we feel like we have unrivaled capabilities within the space, both with the tools and technologies we provide, as well as within the quality management of which we produce those. We have a great deal of experienced support that we can offer, regulatory support, quality support, technical support, And we have a great team of people in the field and in-house that would love to engage with you in cell therapy development. So we want to be a partner and would appreciate having the opportunity to have a discussion about where you're trying to go and how we can help you get